what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with Jasmine. We are currently at Buffalo Bayou Park in Houston, Texas. And what's funny is that we actually met on Instagram through yoga about like 10 months ago or something. Yeah. I have always been like a yogi on the down low, but she actually teaches yoga, or she used to teach yoga.
I'm certified. I'm not currently teaching because COVID kind of like, but I am certified and I have a good personal practice. So.
Yeah. So guys, if you're in Houston, you need a yoga instructor or someone to teach you how to be flexible.
Flexi.
Go hit her up. Okay, so today we are here recording this video because we realized that we have a lot of similar type of stories and backgrounds about solo traveling and what it's like being a female traveling in this world. She definitely has done a lot more than me. I've only been solo traveling for about a year. Jasmine's been doing it for about 3 years, and she's been doing it internationally too, so she definitely has a lot on her plate that she probably wants to share with you guys and stuff. So yeah, this is just gonna be conversational based.
Yeah.
I realized I forgot my coffee all the way back there, so I'm gonna go get it.
You have coffee. I was so close to getting coffee. I was like in the parking lot and I was like, I'm gonna tell her I'm gonna be a few minutes. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that to her.
Thanks, girl. But yeah, Rose Coffee. Thank you, Rose. They actually engraved my name here.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, and it's a Yeti. So Rose Coffee, shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for this. Honestly, like, this is the best coffee mug I could have asked for travel wise.
I've never seen one like that before.
Really? It's cool because you could like twist off the top and you can like sip out of any part of the
Oh wow,
lid.
that's cool. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so I don't know, Rose Coffee. Anyway, so we're gonna go over some top questions I guess a lot of people have asked us both. I guess the first one people ask is usually like, do you ever feel safe as a solo traveler? Like, do you ever get scared because you're a female? Like, how are you surviving?
Such a fun question,
right?
Yeah, like, how do you, like, literally, how do you even survive? Exactly. Like,
how do you
feel safe surviving? And I will never forget the response that I got. So I've been traveling for 3 years, but the very first year was like the most intense year because it was solo and it was in South America and it was like on a one-way ticket. So other than that, I've been traveling like, in the States, right? But like, I'll never forget the reaction from people when I told them that I was going to Colombia by myself. Like, I got so many people that were like, oh, are you sure? Like, you don't want to go there. It's so dangerous. And honestly, I've never felt safer anywhere than in Colombia. If you guys want to go solo travel somewhere in South America, go to Colombia. Like, it's still,
I've never been.
It's still one of my favorite countries ever. It's amazing. Yeah.
When you went there, were you intimidated by the fact that so many people were trying to discourage you about going by yourself?
It gave me a good level of awareness. But because I was already so strong in my belief that like I was going and that I couldn't be deterred and that I felt very sure in the fact that I was going to be safe. Like, maybe if you were a little bit insecure about your decision, it could sway you from going. But me, I was like, so like, no, like I'm going.
Yeah.
So it really didn't make me feel, it made me double think, like I definitely did some research into like how safe is Colombia and like what are the actual things that you need to, keep an eye out for and things like that. But it made me double think, but it definitely didn't ever make me feel like I shouldn't go.
Why did you choose Colombia? And was that your first spot that you started
That's the very first spot that I started off. I landed in Cartagena, which is beautiful. I was there for a month? I was there for a month. But wait, what's your first question? What made me choose Colombia? Colombia? I don't know why I chose Colombia. Honestly, like, I knew someone at that time that was from Colombia, and it just sounded like a really great idea at the time. I really couldn't tell you why.
Yeah, there was like no one reason.
There was no one reason. I know that I like tropical and I like beaches.
Yeah.
And I know that Colombia has some really beautiful beaches, and it actually has 2 different coasts of ocean.
Okay.
And I saw pictures and I was like, yeah, I want to go. It's known for being very, very colorful. I mean, most of South America is. Yeah. But I don't really have
like no specific reason.
Yeah.
When you said you bought a one-way ticket. And how long did you expect to stay there? If you had any expectations whatsoever?
So I didn't have any expectations. I genuinely thought to myself, I may never come back. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's literally how open-ended it was.
Yeah.
And I knew that there were a couple of things that I would have to come back to the States for impermanently. Like there were some things that I needed to take care of, finish out my yoga teaching certification. But as far as how long I was going to be there.
Yeah. You just kind of were like, F it, like I'm just gonna go and just stay there for as long as I want to.
Yeah, for sure. I knew I definitely wanted to hop around.
Yeah, for sure.
I knew that I was gonna go to different countries and things like that, but I didn't have any plans of when I was gonna come back.
So did you plan for it at all? Like what were you gonna do there? Did you have a place there for like maybe like a week at a time or a month at a time?
Yeah.
Or how'd it go?
So I feel like the best thing to do, honestly, if you're gonna be traveling internationally, I highly suggest that you start off as safe as you need to. So for me, for example, I had my whole first month planned, and I booked it actually through International Volunteer Headquarters, and I volunteered there for a month, and that was a really easy way to like get there, and I didn't have to worry about a place to stay because they had a place for me. I didn't have to worry about meals. I didn't have to worry about anything. I had the people that were in the home were obviously arranging the volunteer projects, but they were also helping us learn about the culture, helping us learn about the area. So I would say, especially if you don't know the language, like start where it feels safe because it won't be as intimidating. So there are so many, IVHQ actually is a really good place to start.
Okay.
But there are so many places, volunteer organizations that will set everything up for you and make it easy. And then once you're there, like, you know, it's so easy to like find hotels, find food, find all these things that seem like it would be
like harder, but once you're there, you'll figure it out usually.
Yeah, you figure it out once you get there. So I had my first month planned, and then after that, I didn't have anything planned, but I literally was just like, okay, there's a hostel right down the street. I'm just gonna
like go in and ask them.
Walk to the hostel and get a room, and then continue from there.
Yeah. Wait, so if I like just to like make sure I understand correctly, did you volunteer when you were in Colombia?
Yeah. So
okay.
So whenever I first landed there, I landed and it was for the volunteer project.
Okay, awesome.
Because yeah, it was super intimidating to try to figure out like where to stay, what areas were safe, right? So I was like, okay, this is safe, and it's a good segue into it, especially if you're a little bit intimidated, and I feel like most people would be intimidated, so it's like, why make it more difficult on yourself? Like, these people speak English, you know, like they made it easy for me to transition from good middle ground from here to there.
Got it. So you just wanted to make sure that you were accustomed to the country first before you went off like completely solo. Well, I mean, you did go solo, but you had like leverage in the background and guidance.
Yeah, I had guidance and I had a community. There was like 30 other volunteers.
Oh, cool.
And it was so fun. So I really got a taste of like other cultures, not just Colombian culture too while I was there, but we were all immersed together in the Colombian culture. And I'm a huge advocate for volunteer work. That's how I got to travel through most of South America for free. And so it feels really good to be there, and not just be there, but also be making a difference in the communities there. So would totally 100% recommend that.
That's awesome. Yeah. I honestly, like, I know that a lot of people, they go to places to volunteer, but I guess I didn't really look into like volunteer work when I started traveling too. So it's kind of cool and interesting how that was your first experience doing volunteer work. But so after the month was over, did you end up staying there and volunteered more, or like did you just go off by yourself? And
I at that point, after a month, I felt independent enough and felt like I knew the area well enough that I could go out on my own.
Yeah, got it.
So I stayed there for a month, and I considered staying and volunteering for longer, but I was ready at that point to start exploring the area. So I went on my own, and it was so sweet. The guy that actually was the coordinator at the home for the volunteers, he like found the hostel for me, walked me to the hostel.
That's so nice.
Like, I mean, so sweet.
Oh, that's awesome.
People are so accommodating.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of times people, like, obviously it is intimidating, especially going to a country by yourself and you having no idea, like, what the country's going to be like. Maybe you don't even have friends who've been there before to give you kind of guidance and stuff. And I'm sure, like, you hear mixed opinions and reviews online, right?
Yeah,
About like visiting certain countries and stuff. But I mean, before you actually went to go volunteer, or even after, how did you feel in terms of your safety, especially as a female?
In terms of my safety before I went,
like, would you say that there is a huge difference that you've seen in terms of like feeling comfortable in your safety, like before you started volunteering, during your volunteer work, and after your volunteer work?
So I definitely feel like going in a group setting, and even before I got there, knowing that I was going to be in a group setting made me feel so much more comfortable and made me feel so much more safe, because there's safety in numbers.
100%.
And
Yeah,
so especially knowing that, like, for that first month, we were talking about this, I didn't really get any time alone. Like, we were always with the other volunteers and walking the streets, you know, like very rarely. I think there were a couple of times where like I went out to dinner or went out to lunch or something by myself, but for the most part I was with people. Right. And so the other thing that makes you feel unsafe is like, one, being alone, and then two, not knowing where you're at. Well, if you go in and you start with numbers, then you feel safe. And then once you start getting to know the area, that gives you much more confidence too. And then, you know, it just builds that, takes away the fear of the unknown.
Got it. And
puts in this like confidence. That's exactly what it is. Like, you no longer feel unsafe, and you do have to be vigilant. Because I did hear stories of people that, you know, didn't have great experiences, and like one almost got something stolen from them, and something, you know, things like that. But very few and far between did those things actually happen in those stories. I actually heard stories like that. Got it. And it was usually when they were by themselves at night, you know, drinking, like situations where you're just like, okay, well.
Yeah, 100%. Like, one thing I usually do tell people is that obviously when you go to whatever city, whether or not it's domestic or international, that you do research about the city. Yeah. To see what it's like. Yeah. Especially with like crime rates and stuff too. Like, I think it's actually important, and maybe like your responsibility as a traveler to kind of look it up and care for your safety too. Absolutely. But what's interesting is that, like, aside from that, Jasmine and I, we talked about how it's so hard finding alone time while you're solo traveling, which is totally like not what people would probably think, right? I mean, you even mentioned it too, how even though you went to Colombia solo, how you feel like you barely had alone time at all. So, I mean, how did that feel with you? Because I know that you're super independent, and you do like your alone time too, and you value that a lot. How did you end up finding it, if you did?
Honestly, that first month was sometimes a little overwhelming, because I didn't really have a lot of alone time, and we were in a home of quite a few people. But, you know, it's kind of like here, or kind of like in normal life, where you have to like plan for it. Like, you have to like put it kind of like in your schedule, or make an effort to like be like, okay, today I'm going to have a lunch alone. I'm going to step outside of the group, and I'm just going to do my own thing. So it definitely requires you like being aware of like, oh, I need this. I need to take my time for myself. But yeah, people were like, why would you go alone? And I'm like, well, first of all, why wouldn't you go alone? Because I love spending time with myself. Like, I love that. But also, like, I'm never alone. Yeah, very rarely ever alone.
I think that is maybe, like, would you call it a misconception about solo traveling? Yeah, for sure.
Go. Sorry, go.
I was like, no, I want to hear what you're gonna say, but I will say that, guys, before I got to Houston, I don't remember the last time I spent time just by myself. And it came to a point, like, when I came to Houston, I realized how much I needed to just be alone. Like, I was craving my alone time so badly. It's so important, I think, especially when, not even when you're solo traveling, but like just in general as a person. You know, I mean, I do understand though that some people, they prefer to share experiences with others, or some people, they don't like being alone, and I totally get that. So I think being able to find yourself independently alone, like, it's not for everybody. I know some people who just like really just hate being alone. And I totally respect, I get it.
But you know, too, like, I think that the people that don't like to be alone are also the most social, would you say? Like, pretty social people, or no? No? Okay.
No.
So I think it's like, even if, like, you did find that you were alone, and I was thinking about this conversation that you and I had, like, in South America, it was very easy for me because I was in hostels all the time. And so hostel, if you don't know what a hostel is, it's pretty much kind of like a mix between a hotel and like a college dorm room, where like you will share a room of like maybe 4 or 6 or 8. I've shared a room with like 16 beds, like bunk beds or single beds or whatever.
That's more than I have
It's
ever
a lot,
been in.
right? So I would typically opt for like, you know, 6 to 8 beds, and I would have a bunk bed, and you know, sometimes they put a curtain so you have like, you know, privacy or whatever, but you can have your own, you know, you can have a shared bathroom with a few other people. It's pretty much like a college dorm room. So if you ever felt alone, like, it was so easy to just strike up a conversation and like make a new friend. I mean, just like that, you know, it's like more in our heads than it is in real life that we're gonna be alone.
Right.
If you think about how often you go out and you just like, there are new people around you all the time, especially in hostels where everyone's got that vibe of like, we're traveling, we're having fun, we're gonna go explore, like we're gonna go out and walk the city, and you're like, oh hey, what are you guys up to today? Can I join? And they're always so excited to have somebody new. So it's like very easy, at least internationally. So I know in the US there aren't as many hostels, so share.
I was actually gonna say, the hostel life definitely, for one, it's not for everybody.
It's not for everyone, 100%.
It's definitely a place where you just like don't mind sharing your space. You have to not mind sharing your space, because people who go to hostels usually have the mentality of, I'm traveling here, like this is the easiest way to make friends, or I just want to be able to do activities or like meet the locals,
or just pay $5 a night for a hostel.
It's the cheapest option too.
That's honestly because I knew I was traveling full time. I was like, I'm trying to minimize my spending, and like literally $5 to $10 a night is like unbeatable.
Yeah, no, for sure. I will say that like you cannot beat the hostel life. I also know some people who have traveled to places, and they would just walk into the hostels, and like they would straight up tell the managers, like, I am so broke, I don't have a place to stay, but like I will volunteer and I will do X amount of hours of work in the hostels. Can I just stay here for a couple of nights? And like they do let them. They understand what it's like, you know, like traveling on a budget for sure. And I've never gotten to the point where I had to do that, but it's actually interesting because I will say that just generally as a person, I am more of an extrovert, and I love people. Like, I gain my energy from being around people and talking to random strangers and stuff.
I love
like,
it.
for
yeah,
sure.
It's so good. I'm the same way.
Total extrovert. But I sometimes would prefer just having my own space and not being in hostels.
Yeah. So hostels like have those college dorm style rooms, and then a lot of them also will have private rooms too. At least the ones in South America. Like, so every now and then when I was like, all right, I got enough of people, I would just book myself into like a cheap just solo room. Yeah. So
I've never been to a hostel where I've had my individual room, but I do realize that, like, I don't know, for me, so this past year I was struggling a lot with like building and maintaining certain relationships, especially with people and strangers, I guess, who I got along with really well in certain cities, and then you leave the city and you're like, wait, we're not friends anymore. And that, honestly, that hurt me a lot. And it's happened to me a couple of times, but obviously doing this more and more often, I've learned to not get so attached to people. It's crazy because I would get attached to friends or people I'd meet in cities for like 2 weeks, just because we get along so well, and then we spend so much time together and stuff, and then you leave and you're like, wait, WTF? Yeah. And it was like,
literally, what?
No, seriously, it like stretches your emotions so much. But I think for that reason, sometimes I prefer to not stay at hostels for that reason.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely dependent on the location for sure, but here in the US, I haven't stayed at a hostel.
They're not as common.
They're
nearly
not
as
as
common.
common, but they're actually pretty popular in Miami.
Oh, really?
They're pretty popular.
I can see that. They're a very international city.
Miami, I will say, it's like a piece of South America put into the U.S. for sure. It's like another country out there. But the other reason why I actually sometimes choose not to stay at hostels is because when I'm traveling, I want to be able to maximize my time and the connections that I make in every city. So personally, I'd rather meet up with someone with the same interests as me, right? Not only like people who love traveling, where you can find them in hostels, but for me, when I go travel to cities, like one of my main objectives is to take photos. Like photography is a huge part of me and my traveling. So instead of going to hostels, I actually find people and friends on Instagram to meet up with, rather than people who are just like visiting the city just the same time as you are, coincidentally. So like a lot of people have also been asking me like, who the hell takes your photos, girl? Like, I thought you're traveling by yourself. Like, how do you get these photos? Well, I meet these people on Instagram, and I find that I have the ability to maximize more of my time when I visit these cities, because I could literally find people on Instagram who like the same exact things that I do. Like the same exact things. There are people I've like met like maybe at the bars or at restaurants or just like on the streets where like I've gone along with them so well too, but usually those type of relationships don't last as long as the photographers and the other content creators that I meet.
Yeah, the creator connection is real, like
for sure.
I met Kim and I was like, we're the same person, you know? So it's like we just enjoy kind of the same activities.
No, for sure, and I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong about traveling like one way or the other, like hostel or not, Instagram or not, or just like by yourself and then like going on dating apps too. That's a huge thing too, to be honest. Like I have a friend right now who's traveling by himself solo in Austin, and right before he went, he called me and he was like, yo, like I'm in Hawaii, but I don't want to go back home to New York, and it's just like, where should I go? How do you do this? Like, how the hell do you do this all the time? And for him, he was telling me how like when he goes to cities, he doesn't care like what chick it is. He'd rather just spend quality time with just like a girl that he meets and gets along with and just like dates them like while he's there. And I'm like, that's cool too. Like, I mean, shit, like if you could do that, why not?
Yeah.
So like even for him, even though like the girl is not a permanent girl that he's going to like take back home with him and like marry her or whatever, he'd rather just spend that time together with like a girl he meets on a dating app, which I think is totally cool too.
Yeah.
I will say that like when I'm traveling, like I don't mind going on dating apps either. I think it's cool, and you could kind of see like the type of guys who are there too. I know a lot of people, a lot of people, they use like Bumble Friends. Yeah.
Is there a friends part of
it? There is a friends part of it too, where like travelers literally go on Bumble and Friends or whatever it's called, and they just like they hit them up and they're like, hey, I'm traveling here. Like, are you here? Like to meet up or whatever. Couchsurfing has that too. Couchsurfing, the website.
I did Couchsurf a couple times. It was pretty cool. I liked it a lot.
I started traveling through Couchsurfing, and I loved it. Like I prefer Couchsurfing over like going to hostels actually.
Yeah, because there's nothing like traveling with the expertise of a local.
Yes. Not only that, but the types of people on Couchsurfing, they're also just as crazy and addicted to traveling as you are. So
That's true, to open their home up.
Yeah, and they'll have the craziest stories, and they understand what it's like hopping over from one place to the other. So of course they're gonna like open up their places. If I had my own place, like whenever that is, I would totally open it up to Couchsurfers.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I just want to like live vicariously through them at that point.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like the people that I've met on Couchsurfing, they have like the craziest stories. Oh my god, like it was so cool and like eye-opening. Like I had this one host who he started off in Florida actually, and he even like he hitchhiked all across America, and he's even like been able to like hop on trains and like take him places.
Crazy.
It's so cool.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah, you meet some pretty cool people. I met a New Yorker in Cuenca, Ecuador, and Yeah, he was super, super cool. And they're so accommodating because, like he said, they really understand.
100%.
But
100%.
I agree with your statement of like the turnaround for friends when you're in hostels is emotionally exhausting.
Yes.
Like if you get emotionally exhausted by humans, you're going to get emotionally exhausted by hostels because you have the same conversation every day. Where are you from? Where are you going? How long are you gonna be there? Blah, blah, blah. Like it's the same thing, and it is hard because even though I'm like you, I'm an extrovert and I love people and I love my deep connections. I love having like deep conversations and like really getting to know someone and feeling that connection, and it's so hard to get that when you're cycling through people like so often, and it starts to feel very draining, emotionally draining, and sometimes even like hard and hurtful almost to like get to know someone very deeply. It's like you don't even want to get to know them. I got to a point where I was like, I don't even want to get to know you because I know that you're leaving soon. And so I started to get very jaded. And that was so hard for me because I am a people person, but I found myself not even wanting to try at these connections because I knew that they were very short-lived and they had a very, very short expiration date.
Yes, that is a very good point too. Like, even when I was traveling through the US, and even though I wasn't staying at hostels, I was getting like emotionally drained by just like my hosts, my Couchsurfing hosts and their friends, and it was just like, wait, I just opened up to you and we got along for like a few days and now like we just don't talk. And it's like, if you are like an emotional human being, I'm seriously like, I think we both
I definitely am.
If you are an emotional human being, like I would just be prepared. I wouldn't say fully guard your heart. Like you should guard your heart, but you don't have to fully, so that you don't come off like a piece of shit or whatever. But just be prepared that like you will meet people who like just actually don't care to talk to you again. Like I remember actually when I went on my RV trip, how like my friend Cody, who I did the RV trip with, like we would meet these people and I'm like, oh, they're really cool and stuff, and I was like, wait, are you getting their contact information? Like we literally did an entire hike together, and I was like, this is hard.
I want to be friends.
Yeah, I was like, this is hard. But he made a good point. He was like, yeah, you can. Like, it's up to you if you want to maintain the relationship. But, like, again, what are the chances? And it's actually interesting that he said that because, like,
It's true.
Yeah, it is true. It is true. But it made me think again because, like, I'm the type of person where I will go to the bars and the clubs by myself and have, like, an amazing time. Sometimes I do prefer to just go by myself.
Go solo.
I'm serious. Yeah, I'm serious. Like, I went to the bars out here by myself, and it's nice because like instead of going with some random person I met here, like I was just able to like people watch and stuff. But I'm also the type of person where it's like, oh, because I went to the bars and like I met somebody, like it's not like I'm ever going to see them again, or like the chance of me actually bumping into them again in my life is so slim. So that is like the type of mentality that I've had to adopt traveling. And like
it's hard.
It is hard because you have to pick and choose like who you can be close to or not. I don't know about you, but I do think I got very, very lucky, especially being in California for most of my solo journey, because I've met some of my closest friends there, not only like randomly shooting, but like friends I've met on Instagram, and they're people who like I'll talk to every week. And
that's amazing.
I think I got super lucky, but I also think it helped that I was in this state for so long, and I just kind of went on trips whenever people would ask me.
I think so too. I mean, it was a little bit more difficult, I think, going international because a lot of the people that I met were from Europe. You know, there's a time difference, or like cultures are a little bit different. I don't know like exactly what it is, but just because they are physically more like they're physically further away from you, it definitely makes it feel like they're emotionally not very close to you. I don't
Yeah,
know.
got
There
it,
has to
got
be a
it.
correlation
Right,
there
right.
because if they were also from the States, I know that we would probably still be communicating.
Yeah.
But because they are in the UK now, we communicated for a few months and then it kind of like fizzled out.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
would assume time changed, but also when you have that feeling of like, what are the chances that I'm going to see you again? How much
Exactly.
energy are you really going to put into the relationship?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I was
So-
gonna ask, like, have you re-met someone that you've met while traveling in like a hostel
Yes!
or something? You have? Okay,
yeah.
that's cool.
So this is a really cool thing about South America, and I don't know if it's the same way other places, but South America, obviously it's like kind of fat at the top and then it goes down, and
Yeah.
it's very long.
Yeah.
Right? So people typically, they go either north to south or south to north.
Gotcha.
So I met and saw so many faces that were familiar to me going. So if you're going north to south, you hit up all the same cities. Like if you were in
a good point,
California,
yeah.
you're gonna be in LA, San Diego, San Francisco. You're gonna be in the same cities, but the cities are much, smaller.
Yeah.
And so I would see
Oh.
people like everywhere
That's
I went. I
cool.
would see somebody that I knew and I'm like, I can't even remember where I know you from, but I know that I saw you on this trip. And when I would meet somebody really cool that I really wanted to continue my friendship with, I traveled with a girl from the UK for about a month, and we met up. We met in Colombia, we met back up in Peru, we met back up, so it was super cool. I traveled with a guy from the UK as well, and we met in Ecuador and then met back up in Peru.
Oh, that's so cool.
And
That's
it
so
was
fun.
very, very cool.
Yeah.
It was like having your own travel friend
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And I think that, I've even heard of some romances where you like meet someone in one city, you fall in love with them, you travel your separate ways, and you meet back up, and then like the rest is history, things like that. But it definitely can happen, like where you find someone you vibe with and you're like, let's travel together, and that is so fun.
Yeah.
It's so
I
fun.
will say, like, it's very common. I would say it's a very common thing that you will fall in love solo traveling.
I don't know that I would say it was love, because let's be
love
honest,
them.
like how quickly can you fall in love with somebody, right? But there were definitely a couple of romances where I was like, I could just like X my plans and just move to Brazil for a little while, you know what I mean? Or like go do whatever. It was, definitely, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's a roller coaster, I feel like, of emotions.
Yeah, for sure. It's like you don't expect to, because you're so open. You're pretty much opening yourself to anything, like any type of possibilities, whether or not it's like love or like traveling to certain countries, cities, whatever it is. Like you're just like a free bird for sure.
Yeah.
And sometimes you will come across someone that you vibe with so hard, and you're like, where have you been? And like this is why I travel, to meet people like you. Yeah, right? Like to meet people like you on the road. And then like I will say that sometimes, like, for sure, you might pause your travel plans because you vibe so well and you've like fallen in love, or like maybe not fall in love, but like start developing feelings and vibe really hard with somebody.
Yeah.
Which is not like, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but it's all a part of the process and the journey of being able to do what you want to do and knowing what you should and shouldn't do, like especially when you're traveling, you know? Yeah, for sure. Like it does happen, and
I definitely have changed my travel plans for someone.
Yeah. I will say, oh my gosh.
Whoa, that sounded like someone just got in the car.
I'm just telling you, Houston drivers are no joke.
They're
out
crazy.
here.
Yeah, we are.
Like, I was driving here, and this car, it was, I don't know, like a 60-mile-per-hour road, and it just stopped. And I was like, what are you doing? No signal.
Dude.
And it was like turning like literally 2 miles per hour.
Those people.
And I was like, you're going to get hurt. Like,
Don't
you're going to
deserve
get hit.
licenses.
Oh my God.
If that's you.
Oh no, but Houston drivers are definitely something else. I did meet somebody on the road who we did end up vibing really hard, and we quarantined together, and we obviously still care for each other so much, but I told him from the start that I have an expiration date and that I'm just not reliable to be in a relationship right now, because I'm just selfish with my time, and I just want to be able to live like a free bird and travel until I just cannot anymore. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's I think with any kind of romance, if you're traveling, it's, at least for me, it was already kind of implied that there was an expiration date and that it was sooner rather than later. Like, you know that it's going to be very short term.
Yeah.
And for the longer term ones, like, you still kind of go through that, like, you know, you meet someone, you vibe with them, you go through that honeymoon stage where you're just like, oh my gosh, you're so amazing, like, this is so awesome. And then you spend 24, I mean, we were traveling together, so you would spend 24/7 with them, and then it's like, oh, okay, it's dying down, now we're kind of like spending more time together. So it kind of goes through, I would say, like, all of the stages of a regular relationship as far as emotions and stuff go. Like, at the beginning it's super intense, and then you're like, okay, we're just spending all this time together, and then at the end it's like, okay, I'm sad because we're breaking up, right? Like, we're going our separate ways. Like, it is very much all of the emotions you will feel in a relationship, but just like squished into like a week or two, or my longest, I think, was like a month, and it's like, it could be a lot for sure.
Yeah, the one thing I do tell people about like making travel your lifestyle is that you should be emotionally ready to get rocked. Like, no matter what form it is, I think you have to be emotionally strong and mentally stable-ish in order to live this, because yes, even though you are exploring the world and you're seeing like the world in its most natural and purest form, you will most likely get hurt along the way, just because that you feel like you've met and you vibe with so many people that you have to leave, and you're just like, what the hell? And then you kind of fly over to the next city and you're just like, wait, and you I don't know about you, but I remember when I left into one city, I like vibe really well with one of my friends there, and I left and I was like, it was so hard for me to like fly. And I was just like, wait,
did you feel like feel like very emotional about it? I wouldn't say that I felt hurt when I would leave these friendships or leave these people, but I would say that I felt, and this is going to sound so cheesy, but I still to this day feel this way, you feel like you leave a piece of your heart in certain cities, with certain people. You feel like you leave a part of you that you're like not ready to leave yet. Like, flying from Colombia and leaving Colombia, because I spent 3 months there, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I feel like I got attached to this place and to its people and to these relationships, and now I'm leaving. And it was tough for me the first few times hopping around cities. You do definitely feel like you're leaving a part of yourself.
For 100%.
A part of your new life that you had gotten used to.
100%.
And then you're like, okay, starting something new. Often. You know, so it can be hard.
I will say that, I mean, I haven't gone to obviously as many cities as Jasmine did, but I left California to come back home to celebrate Christmas with my family, and I will say that I was definitely not ready to leave California, even though half of my stuff is still in my friend's closet right now. Like, I was just not ready to leave, and I even got like the more expensive flight to leave a few days later, just because I was like, yo, I don't want to go back to Jersey, like, it's cold over there. And then when you go, you just feel like you have more chores and things that you have to take care of. Like, I had so many errands to run, I couldn't even meet up with everybody. But also, it's like when you go back home, you have to meet with everybody again.
You do.
Like, every single person again, and it can feel more like you just have responsibilities you need to take care of, and which is not a bad thing, because I think being able to maintain friendships while you're away is like an amazing thing too, because when you travel, you will lose friends, but you will also make stronger relationships with your friends who support you no matter what it is. I have lost so many friends doing this, but I've also gained a lot closer relationships with people back home, because like I'm away, and like no matter what it is or what I do, like they still accept me for who I am, and they support everything I do. It's just like, they don't not talk to me because they're happy for me. Like
the friends that are like your kind of friends are gonna fall off.
Yes and no. I think it's definitely dependent on the person and situation, but like some of my closest friends have fallen off. Like, these are people I thought were gonna be like my ride or dies forever, no matter what it is. And then like I left, and I was like, okay, I guess
Yeah.
that was it. And I mean, at this point, it's like nothing more you can do.
Yeah, and I really like that you actually brought that up, because I think that's like totally okay, and it happens in your life anyway, unless you just stay in one spot and never talk to new people ever.
Yeah, but it hurts. But
but it definitely happens at a much faster rate when you're traveling.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
for
much
sure.
faster.
Yeah.
But you know, this is probably not a great way to think about friendships, but out with the old and in with the new. Like, when people leave your life, it creates space for new people that you vibe with to enter. Yeah. And those connections can sometimes even be stronger than the previous connections, because you kind of outgrow, not saying better or worse, just saying different. Like outgrow different mindsets or different activities or different, places in your life. Like, I'm no longer friends with some of my friends that have had children. You know what I mean? Like, it has nothing to do with better or worse. It's just like you're creating space for people that fit and for people that are gonna vibe with you better. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and I will say that the more and more you get older, the more that you'll probably start hanging out with people with the same interests as you. Yeah. Of course, you're gonna have your childhood friends hang out, like be your friends for life, but the more and more you're older, you're gonna want to spend more time. And again, like I mentioned before, like being able to maximize your time with like learning about the things that you like, the things that you're interested in, and like you just get stronger from there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. They solidify and like encourage your passions.
100%. And they help support it too.
And support, 100%. Feeling good.
Feeling great. Buena.
Muy bueno.
Muy buena. So, I had to pause the video because my foot kept on falling asleep, but we are back.
We needed some new energy.
Get that energy flowing. Another question that a lot of people have been asking me, actually, and I'm sure they ask you too, is how do you get from place to place? And it's like,
that's a fun one.
Well, it depends where exactly you are, for sure.
Yes.
People are like, do you fly? Do you train? Do you bus? I'm like, I do all of that. I do. Obviously, like, you have to consider definitely where you are, and like a cheaper option if you're on a budget, or like what is like the most time efficient. I don't fly as often as people think I do, especially with COVID and stuff. I will say that I got very lucky getting quarantined in California and being able to build a lot of friendships in California, because my friends who I hang out with there, they're all like travel and adventure photographers and people who just want to send it on like a weekend road trip all the time. Like all the time. So no, when I'm traveling in California or even the West Coast, like me and my friends drive, like we drive sometimes like 15 hours to catch sunrise. Like that's how crazy we are.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
We are crazy.
I need to hook up with your friends when I go to California.
Yeah, we're literally crazy.
That's awesome.
But the only times I've actually flown in the past year have been back home to Jersey, or actually I've flown a couple of times, but it's like if I'm traveling by myself and not road tripping with somebody else. Like if I want, like when I went to Florida, I flew by myself, and it was like, I don't know, like $30. It was so cheap.
So say you're in a city where you don't have friends to drive around to go explore, like in Miami. Do you have friends? Or like how do you get around?
So I Uber, Lyft. Sometimes I rent cars, or I'll just walk. Like I love walking. Yeah. I don't know about you. Like, if you know me and if you've been friends with me, you'll know that I will walk a marathon for fun. I'm serious. Like,
especially when it's like a new place. Yeah. And you're like,
that's how you explore and discover places too. Like, if you just walk everywhere. I mean, obviously, depending on the city, like in New York, I take the subway everywhere. But also, I'm crazy and I walk from like Wall Street over to like Midtown, and people are like, WTF, Grace? I'm like, yo, I just love the city. Like, come on.
It's pretty scenery, probably, if you're in a city. Sure. Like, if you're in Miami, like, obviously there's like beach and It's just
Yeah,
like
it depends. It depends. Like certain cities for sure, you definitely do need cars. For example, if you're in LA, you need a car. You need a car. There are some spots where like I don't mind taking the train. It's actually like the same amount of time as driving. Like if I'm in downtown and I'm going over to like K-Town or something, I will take the train. It's like $2 and it'll take you just as much time as a car would. And if you're lifting or Ubering there, you just save like $20. It's so much. So you really have to just weigh out your options and be quick on it, for sure. And also, especially flying now during the whole entire pandemic or whatever, like flying has never been easier.
Yeah, it's 100%. So easy,
100%.
and honestly, it's so clean because they have to disinfect like every 2 seconds.
It's the cleanest I think it's ever been. I remember when I used to fly before the quarantine, and I would see people like wiping down their seats and the screens. I'm like, that is too much. But now
normal.
I will not sit down if I don't clean the seat. And if there's been like 1 or 2 times where flight attendants have not given me wipes, so I'd ask them, and most of the time they have it, or I would just save them from like other flights for sure. Like now my hygiene levels have definitely gone up. Like I didn't realize that even before the lockdown, I think I've been a germaphobe, but not like a heavy germaphobe.
And now it's like coming out.
Like first of all, I will never touch a toilet's like flush handle.
Yeah, you gotta use your foot.
My foot. And when we went to the bathroom, I was trying to open the door with my foot.
It wasn't happening, but yeah.
Yeah, but I've definitely become a little bit more of a germaphobe, but for obvious reasons, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, even like transporting on the bus or the train, I try not to touch things I try to touch them as little as I could.
As little as possible, yeah, for sure.
It helps that like in New York, I learned how to balance myself standing on the subway without touching anything. I'm serious. Like
that is like a skill.
You will find me doing like squats and lunges like while the train is moving with my like 500-pound backpack.
Ninja level right there.
Yeah, seriously. But I don't know if there is a preferred way of transportation for you, what would it be?
Okay, so fun story. I have hitchhiked in Colombia.
Oh, that's fun.
So that was fun.
That's fun.
Not my preferred, obviously, but definitely an option. And both times I was with someone. So definitely don't recommend doing it by yourself, especially if you're a female.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just wanted adventure, and so we were hitchhiking from city to city in Colombia. That was fun. But honestly, I have never seen a better train system than in Medellin, Colombia. And then yeah, trains are very helpful there. But honestly, yeah, once you get into most cities, for me, I would just walk a lot of places. Especially, like I said, because the places are new and exciting. So it's like very fun to walk around.
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, I never had a vehicle. So it was either bus to get from city to city. And the buses are cheap. I mean, the bus to get me from Ecuador to Colombia or from Ecuador to Peru was like $10.
Nice.
Right, and it drops you off like right in the middle of the city, so that's really cool.
Depends where you are, for sure. Like I will say that obviously taking the bus and the train does take more time as opposed to like driving or walking, for sure. But again, it's really how you maximize your time, for sure. Like when you see me on the bus or the train, and if I'm there, if it's taking me at least half an hour to go to one place to the other, you will never just see me just chilling there.
Yeah.
I am always doing work somewhere or the other, or I'm just trying to update myself. Like you'll see me like on my phone trying to like find ideas to create content, or if I'm on like a 2-hour train ride, I will whip out my laptop and I'll just work on it.
Yeah.
Like it just really is how you maximize your time.
Here in the States, I would definitely prefer to travel in my own vehicle, but I've even traveled from Houston to Dallas on a bus. And honestly, I kind of love it because for that exact same reason, like when I drive from Houston to Dallas, it's like, well, shoot, I'm gonna lose like that's 5 hours there, 5 hours back. But if I can just take a bus and work instead of just sit and do nothing for 5 hours, I'm like,
yeah, for sure.
I like that.
Yeah, and it's like you're not responsible for driving or like like God forbid that like you get into an accident or something, you're not responsible for that.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
when I first started traveling, the first city that I went to was Maryland because some of my friends were there, but I found a really cheap flight there to like my next spot. But I took the bus from New York down to Maryland, and I just did work.
Yeah, it's nice. You're like, I don't have to worry about anything. I can just relax. Like,
or if it's not even that, it's like you can call your friends. That's how I actually keep up with my friends when I'm on walks or if I'm on long bus rides and stuff. Like I just talk to them, just to, like tell them how I'm doing with my life. So it depends for sure. And on a plane, you will not just find me just sleeping. Yeah, I'll probably
be sleeping.
Yeah, I think it depends. Sometimes I do think that I go crazy. Sometimes I do have to give myself breaks. That is also one other thing too. Especially when you're traveling and you're trying to create content. I am letting you know that you gotta take breaks. It's gonna be hard for sure, especially when you don't have like a solidified platform, I would say, or even when you do. Breaks are super, super important.
What do you mean by a break? Like, what do your breaks look like?
So when I'm not exploring, I am just trying to blog, make a video or something, and like my following isn't even like the biggest following ever, but because like I'm by myself and the only person I have to really lean on is me, I have to make sure that I am staying relevant in some type of way. That's how I feel about it. Also, when I left the travel initially, the only type of communication I had with, or like the only type of, not only, but I felt security updating my life with my followers. Not that you need to, but that's just like my way of connecting with people for sure. Like, yeah, even though I do have my friends that I talk to on a daily or weekly basis, I feel and I felt security just updating my life with my followers, you know, and just showing what type of lifestyle this is. Like, again, it looks glamorous, and it is. Like, it's amazing having ultimate freedom for sure, and exploring to places and snapping photos at these cool looking, I don't know, like bridges, landscape, rock formations, or whatever.
But sometimes it feels like it can come at a cost for sure.
Yeah, and not just a financial cost, but like an emotional and a physical cost too.
It's
like,
hard on the body.
Yeah,
it's
100%.
Yeah.
So it's like if you don't have a lot of strength, or if you have like a weak immune system, like I will say that this lifestyle is, and it will be a little bit harder for sure, especially when you're like car camping all the time, or you'll find yourself just trying to formulate plans. It does get stressful for sure.
It is like very exhausting.
It does. It is.
To use your brain and always be moving around and always, like, that is one of the funnest parts about traveling, is that it's like real life problem solving, things that they don't teach you.
No, you can't. You won't ever learn this in a textbook.
Yeah, exactly. It's real life problem solving in the moment, but it's also, you don't realize how much effort and energy it takes for you to not have a routine, and for you something new every day, a new challenge every day, a new place every day, a new schedule every day. It can get like exhausting. So that is another thing that I would love to like point out, is that anywhere you can fit routine, it will help ground you, so that like there is a part of your day that you don't have to think about.
Yeah.
Like, whether, for me it was like wake up, do yoga, meditate, take my supplements, like, and that to me is like what my routine is, and that's the part of the day I don't have to think about. And like, it feels good to try to bring some kind of, I would try to like, you know, work out something that's going to ground you, that's going to be the same every day when you're on the road, can really help, like, if you're trying to travel long term, feel not as daunting, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I will say that at least 4 times out of the week I journal. Like, the first thing I do before I whip out my laptop is journal, and journaling has become my best friend. I mean, I started journaling before traveling, but it's definitely helped me be sane throughout my entire journey so far. Like,
you need consistency somewhere.
Yeah, you do. 100%. Like, because every single day you're like, oh, I want to pump out this content, I want to do that, I want to go here, and there are 500 million and 5 billion things that you could do every single day. But no, Jasmine's right. Like, having that one consistent thing, or having a routine, is so important to have, for sure. Like, of course you want to go out and explore and like take 500 pictures, but the time to actually come back and like update yourself on everything that you've done. Like I was telling Jasmine how I'm finally going through vlogs that I'm creating vlogs from places that I've gone to 4 months ago. It's a lot, but if you want this type of lifestyle, I'm not saying everybody needs to be a content creator and you have to like create content all the time, but if that is your goal or whatever it is, just to like maintain your sanity or whatever, it's so important to have that for sure.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, but alongside from journaling, and I used to do more yoga classes when things were open, but what other routine like things do you do when you can, and if they're available in that city?
And I really love like in the city
or just anywhere.
So I really love like just having a book, and I really wasn't a big reader for a while, but I think that like my morning routine, and it can also be like a nighttime routine, right? It's like routine anywhere, but I would like wake up, do a little bit of yoga, meditate for like 10 minutes, read a little bit, sometimes journal if I didn't want to read, right? But it's like anything that it's going to like just not involve the things that you're doing throughout the day, because it's just really good to ground you. But I really love self-help books, and the really cool thing about self-help books is it's not a chronological story, so I can literally just take the book, pop it open to any page, read it, and it's like, wow, I really needed to read this today. And like it can sometimes just be that like meditative 5 minutes that you spend reading one page of like self-help, positivity, whatever it is, that can ground you for that day. Yeah. So I think books are also really
500 million%. I will say that I don't read as much as I used to, but when I do need that like extra boost and like positivity, I listen more to podcasts.
Podcasts are good too?
Yeah. And then also if I want to maximize my time again, because I love maximizing my time, I will listen to a podcast while walking. Yeah. Like that's where I get my morning steps. I mean, this Fitbit, I never leave anywhere without this Fitbit.
I love that.
Yeah, but on average, like I'll walk maybe 5 miles a day. Just for the hell of it. Just because it's like, instead of just talking on the friend, like while sitting down, like we'll walk. Or you're right. It's like if you want to go listen to a podcast, you can listen to a podcast and walk. And you're getting your exercise too, like at the same time. Because when you're traveling for sure, you don't find the time to exercise as often as you might have been. I will say that I used to go to the gym a lot, like maybe 3-4 times a week. Is that a lot?
Yeah.
3-4 times a week. But because I don't have like a stable gym membership right now, I walk. And people are like, oh, why don't you just like sign up for a gym and like actually use weights and stuff? And I'm like, the most weights I'll use is probably 5 pounds in each arm anyway. So it's like I might as well just buy like a watermelon or something.
That's so funny.
Yeah. But for sure, I think routine is very, very important.
I have something else to add with that. So traveling in the States too, I did get an Anytime Fitness membership. And so I can obviously use it anywhere, and there are thousands of Anytime Fitnesses all over the country. So if I'm in a city, I will go to the gym, and if let's say I'm car camping, because I car camped for a month in Colorado, go to the gym. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I car camped for a month in Colorado, was go to the gym, shower, that's my shower.
Yes.
And then get some yoga in, get some stretching in, and then like that's like my morning routine. And I have a place to go do that, which is the Anytime Fitness. And it's like $35 a month for showers, for gym, for and I can be here, I use it anywhere in the country, so it's great.
That is also a good point too. So I used to have an LA Fitness membership, but I canceled I canceled it before, but my friends actually here who I'm staying with in Houston, they have an LA Fitness membership, and they use it when they travel too. Like they'll go to like a gym in like a certain state or a city or whatever, and if they're car camping, they'll literally go shower in LA Fitness.
Even if you just use it for a shower, like
that's so worth your money, especially for car camping. You don't have to worry about anything, and some places still have laundry. If not, there's laundromats everywhere. Laundromats everywhere. Even in hotels, they have laundromats. Like I remember on our East Coast trip, we were just smelling gross and whatever, but thankfully the hotel that we were staying at had a laundromat. They had laundry.
Most of them do. So whenever we were in Colorado, we were car camping for a month, and when we needed to do laundry, we would just book a night in a hotel, sleep in a bed, re-energize, do laundry, and be out.
Yeah, for sure.
That's it. Easy.
That is a good point too. I mean, I don't car camp by myself because I don't have a car. But
you need one of those.
But if you are maybe doing a road trip across the US and you're planning on doing this for a while, I think that's a good tactic to find a very popular gym and just, I don't know, like use their showers.
Yeah.
In the beginning, when I started traveling, I was using ClassPass. Do you know what ClassPass is? ClassPass is basically like this app where it has hundreds of gyms that use it, and you could literally book whatever class with different gyms from not only in the country but like internationally as well. So and usually major cities will have gyms that use ClassPass, and you purchase the classes with credits, but obviously you pay like money for that and stuff. I used it in Denver, I used it in San Francisco, and LA definitely had, but I got to LA in the beginning of quarantine and stuff. But ClassPass is actually another good one. I totally forgot. But if you are on a budget, it might not fit your budget unless you want like very specialized classes like yoga or HIIT classes or whatever it is.
But let's be honest, you can just find that on YouTube.
You could, if you have the self-discipline to do that.
Yes,
but,
that's true. Some people need a little kick in the butt.
Yeah, they do.
That's true.
Yeah, they do. But yeah, that's a good one actually. Having a gym membership while you're traveling is a good
And
one for sure.
speaking of finances, the big question.
Yay! The most popular question that we get asked. How do you live? How do you survive traveling? Well, I will say that there's no one way to do it. But if you really are like struggling and you have like $0 in your savings account,
You
it does
should probably not be traveling. If you have $0, maybe not.
That's
But
a
you
good
could.
point too. That's a good point too. I've actually met one girl who she solo travels, and she got to Costa Rica, and the day she got to Costa Rica, some gypsy stole all her stuff. Like, she stole her passport, her wallet. I think she had maybe she had 2 luggages. One got stolen or whatever. So she was homeless on the streets.
Oh my God.
And I don't know how the hell she did it, but she stayed there on the street. She just wanted to get out. But she stayed there asking people for money. And then the moment she got what she needed and like got a new passport, she left Costa Rica right away. And I met her in California. I'm serious. I'm like, how the hell did you do this?
That is crazy.
And I met her before I started solo traveling. So like when I did a trip to California before.
Yeah.
But if you have the urgency, if you have the urgency to survive somehow, you'll do everything to make it work.
Everything.
You'll literally do everything. When I first started, when I quit my job, I remember I told myself I need to save X amount of dollars in order for me to leave and just have money just in case for backup. And until this day, I've never touched money out of my savings account. Like, I've just made it happen somehow. But you'll find a way to get
so
like.
How have you made? Like, how have you been able to maintain it financially?
So
where does your money come from? Like, I'm sure so many people are curious.
Yeah. So in the beginning, I was doing a lot more writing gigs, whether or not it was like Fiverr or using Facebook groups or just like word of mouth, people who needed articles and stuff, and I would write for them. And that was where, that was where the bulk of my money was coming from. Now that's kind of shifted, and I've definitely done a lot more gigs, like posting on Instagram and stuff, and that's like another way, a stream of income.
For brands.
Yeah, stream of income that way. I've been now very lucky that whenever I do travel, like because last year I've networked so much, I kind of have friends like in every city. So whenever I do travel, all I have to do is just book the flight. But I will say that I've been like 85% of my flying has been for free this past year.
Why?
Because I did a writing gig for this one airline, so I was flying with them a lot.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and on top of that, I book most of my flights through my credit card points.
Yeah, same.
So yeah, seriously, like I'm usually just hustling on the credit card point. Like I am so hungry for sign up bonuses. Like I seriously am. If you know me,
she'll probably put the link below. This is the credit card that she uses.
Yes, yeah, I'm serious. Like I have at least, I don't want to say how many credit cards I have, but I chase sign up bonuses. You could even use those points for like hotels and stuff, cars, even. Yeah, and I don't know. That's just how I've been doing it.
Yeah. So I think what I think is so funny is that so many people are like, oh my gosh, how do you do it? Like because their current lives are so effing expensive. And I'm
that
like,
too.
Yo, when you don't got rent to pay, when you don't got a car note to pay, when you don't got a phone bill to pay, when you don't got when you don't got dry cleaners and park or whatever, when you don't have a high price tag on your life, you don't have to make a lot of money to survive.
That is very
true.
So
if you're trying to like rack up money and put money in savings and like make a lot of money on the road, it's gonna take time for you to be able to do that, whether it be through vlogs, blogs, Instagram, or whatever. But at the very beginning, if all you want is to be able to do it and you don't necessarily care about putting money in savings and you just want to be able to survive, as far as surviving financially, easy when you don't have $1,000+ in expenses
100%,
every month.
100%. And what I will say is that before I did leave home, I made sure that I didn't have anything underneath my name. Like I didn't have to pay for rent anymore. My phone bill, well, obviously, like I share it in a family plan, but I made sure I didn't have a car under my name at all. Like I don't have to worry about that. If somebody wants to take my student loans, like please go ahead. But what I will say that I think I got very lucky with traveling the time that I did, because I started traveling 4 months before the lockdown. And because of like the current world situation, I didn't have to pay for my student loans for months. So that was like maybe my biggest expense monthly. But because I didn't have that, like I just I cut that cost, my biggest expense. So I definitely feel very fortunate for that.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think financially, you think it's much more expensive than it actually is because you simply live a very expensive life at the time.
Yeah, 100%.
But when I was on the road, I was teaching yoga and making tips off of that. At the very beginning, I was also writing through Fiverr, and which is an app for
like gig
gigs,
work.
Gig work. But usually it's multiple different streams of income. So also posting on Instagram, having brand partnerships, things like that. Doing photography, every now and then I would get a gig for that. And honestly, I don't know how it is here in the States, but in South America, there were a lot of opportunities to do work exchange where I would teach yoga somewhere, or I would work the front desk somewhere, and I would get to stay there for free, and I would get food for free. So it's not you're not getting paid, but you kind of are getting paid, because if you were getting paid, you would just spend it on food and the place anyways. So again,
that's your biggest expense too.
Again, like you don't really need a lot of money, because essentially you won't really be having a lot of expenses. And now if you do have a lot of expenses that you have to take care of when you're on the road, I would definitely say either leave with a good chunk of savings that you don't have to worry about where your finances are coming from, and then like she said, when you're on the road and you need the money, you're gonna find a way. Like literally, you could just
to make ends meet. Literally,
like if you were car camping in the U.S., like literally Uber or something. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna find a way.
Yeah,
but,
for sure. Even when it comes to like your food situation too, like, even if you don't have your own place, and let's just say you're sharing a place with someone, it's okay to ask your host if you could buy groceries and make food for yourself there too. Like that is totally okay. Or maybe it's not going to the most expensive restaurant. Some people travel to go eat at certain restaurants. Like I know someone who books the restaurant first and then books their flight. Like she's the complete opposite. But maybe it's funny. Just not going to that expensive restaurant. And then going somewhere that's a lot more affordable, depending on like your budget and like your lifestyle. But it really just depends. Like you'll always find a way out. Or if that's the case too, like if you're really on a budget, find where you can get like the most valued meal and then kind of split it up. Like when I first started traveling, like I used to go to Chipotle all the time, I will say, and I mean I can't finish a bowl in one sitting at first.
So you have date.
But it's like two meals, yeah. It's like 2 meals and yeah.
For $10 or something like that.
Yeah, it's like split down the middle. It's like $5 per meal.
When Kevin and I were traveling in Colorado, we were car camping. We called it our kitchen, but it was just like a little container, and it was just a lot of non-perishables. And we would have, we had a 1-burner stove, 1 pot, 1 pan, and just a box of non-perishables. And we very rarely really had to buy a lot of groceries. I think maybe we spent on groceries maybe $150 for the month. Damn, it's pretty solid. We would make soups, and that's like broth, a bunch of veggies, potatoes, cheap stuff, like pancakes. The pancake mix lasts forever. Fruits, sandwiches, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I will say that if you're car camping, just get like a portable stove and just buy it that way. But if you are more cautious about like what goes in your body and you want to eat cleaner stuff, that is totally up to you too. But I will say that, I don't know, like buying like a bag of spinach car camping, like it's probably gonna take you a few days to even a week to even finish that, right? Yeah.
But it really depends on like what you care to eat. There are some people who I've done road trips with who would rather eat out at restaurants, and I'm just like,
that's not me.
Like, of course I don't want to be a party pooper and like say no and just like not eat and sit there, but it also makes you realize like the types of people out there who like travel differently than you, yada yada yada, and like knowing what you like and don't like and like your preferences on everything.
And of course you're gonna want to treat yourself, so you also have to like allow money for treating yourself.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
I will say that if you want to treat yourself, don't hesitate. Just like, you deserve it. You've been camping out of your car for a week. Just like go and buy yourself like a freaking steak or something. Yeah, like at the end of our 2-week road trip, RV trip in the Southwest, we had steak like the last night. We were like, we deserve this. Let's just go eat out a steak. In terms of like, actually, you're talking about the gym situation, that's a good one. Like, that is a good one. Instead of like spending $100 like a night at a hotel just to shower. I mean, to sleep, yeah, maybe it's different, but it also depends on the levels and the extremes that you'll go in order to be dirty. I will say that this lifestyle, if you're especially on a budget,
if you don't like to be dirty,
yeah, it's not for you. It's not for you.
I've definitely gone like 3 or 4 days without a shower.
Same.
It just happened.
You'll find a way to clean yourself though. I was talking to my sister when I went home, and I was like, you know what? When I was on my RV trip, I was thinking about you, and I realized I don't think you could survive a day of this trip. She's like, I can't. I'm like, yeah, just like the way we travel is so different.
And I used to do baby wipe showers.
Oh, that's a good one too.
But baby wipes aren't great for the environment. If you can find some that are okay for the environment, like baby wipe showers are legit. When you're out in the mountains, and like we would be out there and we would be camping, and we would stay for a couple of days, and on the 3rd day we're like, a shower would be nice.
Baby powder actually works for your hair if it's oily.
Okay.
Yeah, baby powder's good, and it's like $2.
Yeah.
Also, yeah.
These are the little things.
The little things that all add up for sure. But but alongside with this, both traveling domestically and internationally, I think we did cover
a lot,
especially like traveling solo and like caring for our safety and stuff. Obviously, when you travel to places, you want to research these areas to make sure that like you're going to be safe 100%. Some of these things that we talked about are things that maybe you don't see everywhere, because again, like you do see like top highlights about people's lives.
Know your preferences, know what you're getting into, know that there's always a risk. There's always a risk, no matter how big or small, like there's always a risk. So but if you're determined to figure out a way to make it work, then you can. I love this quote. I don't know where I heard it from, but it's a statement closes the mind and a question opens it. So instead of saying like,
I like that.
I can't do this, like you have to ask yourself like, how can I do this?
Yes, like change your mentality.
Yeah, like I don't know how to do that. Okay, well, where can I find out how to do that? You know, like so if you want to make it happen, I think it's very possible. Like we're pretty badass, but we're not like super special people that have a secret to how to do this. Like we just got out there and tried to figure it out, and we're figuring it out, you know. So it's I will also say too, like your energy levels will really radiate as well. Like if you are confident, you walk confidently, you act confidently, you travel confidently, you like bring a smile on your face, and like you just like bring radiance into the like the air, it will create energy too. I will say that for sure. But again, like I don't know if you guys read my Instagram posts, but I always say that if there is a will, there is a way, and it depends on how badly you want it. And no matter what it is, traveling or not, if you want something really badly, like you'll literally go towards the end of the earth and like make it happen. You'll make it happen for sure. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching this far into the video. I wonder how many people actually lasted this long. You're a real one.
Yeah, for real. We out here, yo. But again, thank you guys so much, and I hope that we answered a lot of the questions that you guys might have as a solo traveler, a female, and any other questions about traveling in general. But if you guys have any additional questions, don't forget to drop those down in the comment section below. But yeah, until next time, y'all. Happy travels, y'all. Be safe.